But wait, just to be clear, do you have it formalized?
I don't like depends. What do you mean by like formalized? Or like you asking for a syllogism? Because I don't think a syllogism
Yeah,
has to.
that's what I mean formalized, Aristotelian argumentation.
I don't think like a formal argument has to be like a syllogism. But I could just like explain it formally or give like formal addressment for you if you
Give me
want.
the form syllogism, man.
I don't think I need a formal syllogism. I'm pretty sure I could just
Yeah,
lay
I'm
it
not
out
saying you
naturally.
need to, bro. Can you give it to me? Do
If
you
I
have
don't,
it or not, bro? I'm just asking.
you
He's
just lay out.
begging you to put it in his mouth. Bro.
I don't need it. Like, I don't need a syllogism. I can just give the argument. So I mean, like, so
Okay.
basically, because I'm an anti-realist, I would assume ontological parsimony for most worlds. So I would assume there's only one world. Therefore, because we are existentially
Anti-realist on what, bro? What? Or
modal,
anti-realist on
said
parsimony?
modal, I just said modal world, so I would assume ontological
Oh,
parsimony.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
why
So
should we take that to be the case? Why should we be motivated to be an anti-realist?
motivated to believe in like just existence of one possible world.
Yeah, bro. Whatever view that you take upon, why should we
Yeah,
take it?
yeah, sure. Because I think multiple necessary beings in another one grounds the other one. Therefore, there's a contradiction because you can't have another necessary being grounding another necessary being. That's just a contradiction and not really analytical towards what a like a necessary
That
being would.
presumes the conclusion upon what we're debating.
How
Like
that presumes
from the schema, hold on,
logically
just
valid.
from the schema, hold on, chill. From the schema, depending upon if there's a necessary being, um, it's only followed, right, if it's granted that there is a necessary being, then the contradiction would be true. What's in question if that necessary being exists? Second, that doesn't give me motivation, especially when that presumes the conclusion only in order for the motivation.
Well, the thing is
So,
that
do you have any alternative motivates that doesn't presume the conclusion?
last thing I'm trying to explain why like against your points. So let me just continue with that. Um, First of all, when in reference towards necessary being, I should probably just sit there and say, oh yeah, well, first of all, that's dealing with modal worlds. When we accept like a modal realist stance or we are attacking a modal realist stance, we would have to sit there and say there's a necessary being grounding it, or else how would you sit there and say it's a
What?
thing?
Why?
Because that's how what?
What
Okay,
do you mean
I'll
that's how
just
mortal worlds work? What? I
yeah,
think you're
sure. I could just
confused.
that's not confused. Hold on, let me explain.
Yeah, it seems
It's
like you're
usually
confused.
because obviously there's data dicto and like day array scenarios. You would sit there and say that like a thing like a modal world would probably be a day array scenario. So obviously you would have to assume it's a being. But when we talk about a necessary day array thing, you would also have to refer to like something like a necessary being that's necessary across all possible worlds. But even then, even if you were to assume something grounding these possible worlds, would have to sit there and be like a contingent thing, or is contingent that means it's fallible in that sense, in the modal sense, and clearly fallible. It's not a necessity then. That's
I
just why
think
when you
that
talk.
the things that are ground possible world, even from the intuitions of that, could be outside of the domains of what's possible and necessary.
So the thing
That
is that
I don't see how to establish a domain you have to be within the domain of
you
this rules.
think you think it would have to be aside. So I mean, like even then, that would be within the realm of possibility because it's within the same.
Wait, hold on. That you're just implying the meta upon the position of that. That doesn't establish anything.
What do you
So,
mean by the meta? What
like
do you
for
mean by the meta?
example, when we say okay, like for example, like when we say truth theories, just for example, right? When we establish a truth theory, usually we wouldn't ask questions upon why you think that's going to be true, right? Upon truth theories, because that's just like within its own repeating axioms. So there seems to be certain things when we say that we ground possibility necessary. Like there are certain things where we just wanted to apply the meta rules by saying, okay, do you find that to be necessary? And then we just go on this infinite chain by saying, do you find that to be necessary or possible? And then this infinite chain of regress.
Okay, well the thing is that it's if it's like within the realm of possibility, the necessity in itself cannot be outside of those things because it's going to be included within. That's just retarded to sit there and say it's outside of that. If it's outside of that,
Wait. Repeat that.
okay, no,
Repeat
no,
that. Sorry, I
no,
wasn't listening. I'm just asking to repeat it, bro. Chill.
okay, my bad, my
Damn,
bad.
bro.
Yo, I was just assuming because like most people
I
do that.
hate you people.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But like,
continue.
yeah. I'm gonna continue to R. So when it comes towards that, when you said the meta rules, etc., like applying the meta, um, one thing I want to say when you said, oh yeah, so it's like outside of like the thing of possibility within, the thing is that it's just gonna have to be accepted because like otherwise, if you have like contingency with actual like no thing to where it's like existentially contingent upon except itself. That would make it self-sufficient and therefore necessary because it can't be contingent on anything else except itself. It would literally be its own explanation. That's how you
Yeah,
would have.
I don't find those to be the certain things that we'd establish. Because again, I explained the infinite regress upon why we can't ground itself from its own axioms. Um, and
So
especially
it's
that when
just
you say self-sufficient, and then you'd say that those are the type of things to be necessary, which I don't know if you're just following some S5. Are you?
an S5 would be like necessary across all possible worlds. The thing is that I find like most possible worlds need to be grounded by something. So I wouldn't say they're self-sufficient. They would obviously be a contingent thing. So obviously I would accept an
Yeah,
S5 for
wait. Just to be clear, when you say okay, wait, just to be clear, when you say possible worlds and you're establishing an anti-realist field, um, do you hold it to be the case that all other possible worlds to be existed in some aspect, or do you find it to be the case that they are like what do you find the other possible worlds to be in their ontological scope?
When it comes towards these possible worlds, I'm only like saying within like open to conception thing. I'm not necessarily saying they're like concretely like existent. Like
I can't, bro. I'm sorry. Your mic is like a little choppy, bro. Like I don't know if that's just for me,
yeah,
but like when you say words, it like like that. No,
I
it's
don't. I
hard
have.
to
I
translate.
think that's just you. I think that's just you. But I mean,
That
like,
might
I
be
can.
just me, bro. But could you repeat that?
Yeah, I definitely can. So I mean, like, when I say like possible worlds, more so talk about open to conception and discussion about it, not necessarily affirming anything. Like, because like a major part of the argument I should probably explain and like clarify a bit is that it's me debunking the other existence of other possible worlds. So I mean, like, that's the reason why I'm trying to affirm like an anti-realist position, and the reason why I'm talking about that.
Well,
So the
you're
reason.
not like conditioning yourself to anything. It's an open discussion on how you go against the negation of something, or at least go into negation of like other possible worlds. Is that right?
I'm going against the affirmation of possible worlds.
Or at least
So
exist in other possible worlds. You said that there's only one possible world that you exist in.
yeah, which is this possible world, which we talk about. This is a possible world. You don't think this is a possible world?
I don't see anything to establish that.
So you don't think this discussion we're having is possible?
I don't see why we'd establish that.
So I'm asking you a question.
I don't know when you say that we exist in a possible world. I don't understand what that
When I
means.
say
Like,
that it's clearly possible when it comes to existence, that should be really
you know,
implicated
what
from
if
something.
I'm confused. When, like, again, like you can encode possibility within our semantics to say that it's within our existence. I don't find that to be an
Well, I'm
attribute that,
clearly, I'm
for
clearly
example,
like
like I could say
clarifying.
that, okay, well, it's possible. Well, everything in our world seems to be possible in some conceptual analysis, but just because it's like at least possible in the conceptual analysis, now we wouldn't attribute it to say now it's a possible world, or at least that we exist in a possible world. I think it's purely linguistical.
The thing I'm talking about though, like also that's like a Kripke position, but just to regard off of that, yeah, I'm not really considering like conceptual analysis or anything. I've literally just talked about like affirmation. If I'm clearly affirming that this is like an existent possible world, by existent, I mean like concretely existence, like a realist type position, and that would be the analytics for concretely existence. So don't go like saying, oh yeah, concretely existent means physical, this and that. Like obviously, I would like. I'm not even going to talk about like physical things. I'm just talking about like we affirm it to actually have a nature in actual existence, which the nature is a part of like within being. So I mean, obviously that would be what I mean, and I believe that would kind of just like take away the semantical part, just like clarify it, like it's pretty much there. That's what I mean by possible.
I
It's
don't.
existent.
Yeah, no. I explain why I don't believe it's to be there.
Okay, why?
I literally just said it, bro. I don't think that to attribute it to say that we have some conceptual analysis again, and then attribute the encoding that, or not attributing, but encoding some sort of language to say that, okay, well, there seems to be that from the analysis of what we find to be possible, or at least analytical to be possible, we'd also consider our world to be possible in that sense. I don't think encoding that within our analysis finds it to be some sort of attribute of existence.
Well,
I don't take that to be an
true.
existence.
That's only descriptively true per our semantics. That's only per semantics, and that's only within the Linda's. The sorry, I
So wait,
started
how do
that.
you find? Okay, so then how do you find our world to be possible then?
Yeah, hold on. So, let me explain something. The thing which you're talking about is just linguistical display. It's not necessarily anything because, like, I'm not really affirming linguistical realist answers or this and that. Like, what I said would purely be that because it's existing, this is how I would take it to be possible. Obviously, of course, the semantics are distinct. It's
Wait,
not
what's
just
existing? I'm confused. Our world?
oh, like I don't know if you've been tracking for the most part of the discussion, but I mean it's pretty pretty
I'm
apparent.
just
I mean,
I'm just making clarify, bro. Just clarifying.
yeah, I've
Don't
like
say
clarified so many times. I don't know what's hard about this.
you're talking about our world, correct?
Yes. Wait, hold on. Can I ask you a
Okay,
question?
okay, then just
Can I
say
ask you a
yes.
question?
What the hell?
This
Like
is
no
what
one's
I've
trying to
been
be
saying.
rhetorical on you.
This is no. This is
Like
what I've
chill.
been
You could
saying.
chill. You could chill. You could chill. Just asking,
Oh, man.
just to clarify, because I don't know if you're talking about what you're talking about. But
This
listen,
is
it's
what I've been
completely
talking
fine.
about. Our world is possible. I've been asking, do you think our world is possible? Like this one possible world. That's what I've been
Yeah,
asking
I
for.
don't find. Yeah, I don't see why I should take it to be the case.
Because it's like literally existent. What do you talk about? That's what it. That's
It's
literally just
existent. I don't find those to be the attributes, or at least the implications
okay.
upon what
So
we
you
find
don't
to be
hold to
possible.
objectivism. You don't hold to objectivism
Objectivism? Wait, why is that going to be the case? I don't see
because
how me
a
saying that I don't
objectively
affirm to be the certain. Wait, just to be clear, I don't affirm by saying, okay, when we find like our world to be possible, or at least there's an aspect, I don't find it to be the case that, okay, from that we could clarify it to be, okay, something existed, it seems to be possible. I don't see how those are implicated. I'm not saying that we don't actually have like an actual world. I just see I'm just failing to see the gap between the implication upon it's an existent world, therefore we find it to be possible.
Well, the thing is that when we typically talk about possible worlds, we would have to talk about existential things which can capable or just expose, or just not expose, sorry, have this type of capability to have like ontological commitment. That's like literally the analysis which has been laid down. I mean, like the thing within possibility, like which is like mainly a question here because obviously we've been having a discussion about modal realism versus modal anti-realism, right? Anti-realism denies the existence of all possible worlds and only takes ours to be the case. That's basically how we would define that, like obviously philosophically, right? And when it comes to, of course, modal realism, we affirm other existent possible worlds which are concretely existing. That's how you would view that, right? But the thing is that if we're only taking anti-realism to be the case, that means our ontology would be the case, which is clearly the possible world in question. That's how you would view anti-realist things. And when you, of course, talk about semantics, of course, like on your other point, I only believe that to be descriptively true. And when we talk about the possible world in question, that would be an objective truth, right? There's distinct types of truths when you refer to these types of concepts, right? The conceptual analysis, yeah, I'm pretty sure you made the distinction between that. But the other thing about this, when it comes to modal worlds, I'm going to mention this again real quick, is that you have to talk about clear ontological commitment. If the ontological commitment is actually capable of actually being sustainable within a metaphysical view. So I mean, like, obviously, if we're already existing, and you said you don't really, oh yeah, hold towards that. The thing I'm gonna sit there and say is that you would still have to hold to our ontological commitment about us, right? If we can clearly exist within a world, I think clearly it's clearly pretty much existent. Therefore, possible to be a possible world. That's how you would consider that within a modal sense. The only one that should be possible. That's how you would view that in a modal sense. The modal sense. It's obviously the only case to be taken here
Yeah, what
linguistically.
if I find an error within modal logic in that aspect? I
Okay,
don't
and
see any. I don't
what
think they're
aspect?
seeing. Yeah, like you say that. Okay, within like usually from our modal aspects of realism and anti-realism, there seems to be that there's a display upon what we find to be possible, and the existence, or at least the existence of our world, seems to be attributing upon that. And then I'm just asking. Okay, what if I take none of those views? I don't see why you would like subject views from this weird disjunction.
Yeah, that's what I answered. I said you still have to take the ontological commitment, which would like
I don't
put
see
this
why I have to take the ontological commitment.
because of us, our ontology, it's like there. That's how you consider it to be possible.
That I don't see. I don't consider that to be possible.
Okay, then it wouldn't be a possible world in the first place, and then for you wouldn't exist. But clearly, you exist, which is
I
just a
don't
contradiction.
say. I don't. Wait, nope. That just preassumes the implication upon how existence, like it's coincide with some sort of like possibility. I don't see why we
Possibility.
should take those to be the
That's
cases.
the thing
You're
is,
just like again, you're just reaffirming the implication, but backwards. And then what
that's
I'm asking is the implication itself. I'm
here's the
failing to
thing
see
though.
that. You're just saying within a modal scope of realism seems to be the case. I don't see why I subject myself to that, unless you can give me a disjunction of why I should.
A disjunction. Here's the thing though. Like I've been answering this for a while, and you said ontological commitment. You said you don't see why you should take that to be the case. I answered, oh yeah, because obviously you exist. The thing is that you said, oh yeah, I don't see why I should also take that to be the case. The
No, you
reason why
said
I'm
okay. You're saying okay. Wait. Okay, I understand the ontological commitment by saying I'm existing. failing to see how that's the commitment by also saying that we declare or at least like attribute our world to be some sort of possible world.
Yeah, which I've already answered, which is just again committing to it actually having some type of ontology within it, and of course the commitment to that ontology. That's literally what's been explained. We're just going in circles.
Holy
There's
shit.
actually no
Holy
attack.
shit.
There's no attack on it besides you sitting there and questioning it, which I've already answered several times.
Okay, listen, I'm literally clearly showing that it seems to be circular on the ontological commitment, bro. Like that's like clearly the problem here.
That isn't the thing. It's not
That
presumed.
is that's definitely the thing,
It's
bro. Okay.
substantial. It's
Okay,
not.
this
No. Hold,
okay,
hold
okay.
on. Hold on. Let me say something real quick. It's clearly not circular if I'm capable of showing it substantial with another reason. Obviously, if I was to sit there and say, "Oh yeah,
The reason
ontological,"
was the implication which was in question. It's circular. Like that ass.
you don't. Hold on. So can I ask you a question? Okay.
Yeah, ask me a
Just
question.
a specific question. Obviously, the implication would be about, oh yeah, so of course the being that it's possible world because of ontological commitment. And I just keep repeating the same thing, right? That is like the implication, of course, it being possible in the first place. I'm sitting here saying, oh, yeah, because
Wait,
of
whoa,
ontological.
repeat that. Yeah, like you kind of blubbered. Like I don't know if that's your mic again, bro. Like that was weird.
I don't think I
I'm just gonna assume it's on my side. So repeat that.
I kind of feel like you're trolling.
I'm
You sure?
not even trolling, bro. Dead ass, bro.
Sure.
Like dead ass.
Sure.
Like, do you want me to like screen record?
You sure? You sure, man?
I'm very, very sure. I don't know if it's like your freaking mic or some shit, or I don't even know.
So,
But,
I'm gonna say
like,
this real. I'm gonna say this real quick. The thing is that you're just saying I'm presupposing when it's already substantiated for you. The thing is that you have to attack the, of course, substantial reason, which would be ontological commitment. Why shouldn't we take ontological commitment if you're putting anti-realism, realism into question? If that's the sufficient reasoning for us to take, obviously, an anti-realist state of existence, right? You would have to sit there and, again, attack it. See, the reason why it's like flawed. Saying it's circular, again, is not the case because obviously if I'm sitting here saying,
you're
oh
just
yeah,
switching the burden, like that ass, bro. This
no,
is bad.
that's not. It's not switching
It
the burden.
is definitely switching the burden.
If I've already fulfilled my burden, then it's not.
You didn't
It's not.
fulfill the burden, though. I'm
I
asking,
did
okay,
though.
with the ontological commitment, I don't see why I would also be committed to all these other things. As in, when I mean by the ontological commitment, it's just that I'm existing alone. Um, and that's
Because
what
what makes
I'm
it
been
possible.
describing the ontological commitment. Then it
Because
seems to
that's
be the
what makes
case that I don't see how the implication follows. Now, you're trying to like again. I'm just trying to like make sense upon how you follow this inference. I mean, you could add all these other hidden premises, but like this just goes to an infinite chain of saying, okay, well, usually we take these towards the schemas, but I don't hold to those schemas. So I don't know why you're trying to subject me to some sort of schemas that are obviously that I decline upon. And then if I make the ontological commitment, I don't see how it also follows from all those other cases of the anti-realist view.
Yeah. So, real quick, I'm gonna explain this to you. If
Go
I'm
ahead.
sitting here saying this is the only type of thing which we have, again, like I also like the argument against like modal realism. I think we also have to put that into question, like modal realism as in affirming other possible worlds. I'm pretty sure this is like pretty clear, but pretty sure we didn't really even talk about much of what I said, which was of course like the particular things because you were talking about presupposes this necessary being exists. I mean, like I feel like I didn't really define necessary being. I'm just saying it's like a necessity at that point. But again, regarding off of that, I think we should go on to this current point, which is like the burden shifting point. Um, Clearly, if I'm accepting that, ontological commitment is going to bring in possibility. Possibility is already fulfilled by ontological commitment. Therefore, if you sit there and say, obviously, like, let's just say ontological
No,
commitment
no.
would.
Why I should hold that? Why should I hold that?
What you said?
Why is the ontological commitment towards the possibility and the possibility hold to the ontological commitment? Why should I
I
hold that?
already mentioned this, but what I said was that because obviously you existing would refer to something as possible within a modal perspective. Like that's dead
Why
ass
should I hold the modoscope though? That aspect.
whole
But you're just
to
saying that it seems analytical to a certain schema.
to the
I don't see why I
scope.
should take that.
I think when you're also questioning about the motor scope, what type of motor scope? Go ahead.
What type of motoscope? I'm just asking. I'm not taking a position upon a motoscope. I'm saying why should I affirm that type of motoscope?
Oh, to
I'm not
type.
okay. I'm like literally not taking a position here. Don't like try to affirm me to a position.
Clearly, it's only affirmative, like homological. I mean, like that's the nature of like our reality. That's like how we would see these fundamental laws would work. I mean, like obviously because of the
What?
I like
So
again
like
that's
let's be clear. Let's just like get rid of the like like the modal scopes upon that. You don't think that we'd have these governing rules?
Sorry, what was it? Oh yeah,
Okay, yeah,
others.
like just yeah, take away the semantics of modal scopes and just like all the whole schemas. Do you think that without like you don't think there's some normological things that still exist even from outside of the language? Like, I'm confused. Like I don't know what you mean by that. Now that it's affirmed because
Side
we
of
have some sort of
language.
normological things.
Hold on. Are you trying to ask me if I'm only like regarding this as towards like semantics? Because like if I'm pretty sure I'm sitting there saying this would be concretely that specific thing in terms of nature and being, I'm pretty sure I'm affirming a realist and mind independent thing.
No, I'm saying like if we took rid of like the motoscopes of the language, do you find those things to be existent? And not if you're not, I'm saying okay,
Okay, so
perfect.
modal
So now
scopes
there
and
seems to be
modal scopes
okay.
and language.
If it's not dependent upon that, then I still don't see why we should hold to those certain motoscopes.
Yeah. So modal scopes and language. Okay. Are you like only trying to ask like if it's like the language part? Like would we limit the modal scopes towards language and
Yeah,
how we reference?
yeah. So again, I mean, I think you already answered this that you don't find that things are to be possible by some sort of analytical sense or of a language. You take it to be that we find it to be possible because well, it just follows from the case. Whereas in that you see the ontological commitment is dependent upon the possibilities dependent upon the ontological commitment in your side of the motoscope. Um, what I'm more of asking is that okay, I don't see how they're both committed to each other. I think I can hold to the ontological scope without also,
Because the
but
existence
I
part.
don't
When
see it. I
hold
don't
on,
see how it's like
I think I should
contradiction.
define. I think I should also define like real quick ontological commitment. Ontological commitment is of course committing towards the specific nature of something, right? I mean that's pretty much
Wait,
basic
what is
stuff.
that? Okay, wait, that's vague. So that okay, what are the ontological commitments? Because when I'm saying ontological commitments, or at least what I'm in reference to, I'm just saying that I exist. That's the ontological commitment that I'm saying.
Okay, so if that's the case, I believe that's just referential for possibility, like existence. I've been defining that for a while. Wait, hold on. So can I
All
see a
right,
question real
that
quick?
presumes that I follow from what that I find that to be the motoscope.
Okay, so
Um,
then you don't exist. Then you don't exist, but you're clearly talking to me.
wait, that's presuming that it's both a biconditional. I don't take it to be a biconditional.
If I could, when did I ever mention? Oh yeah, oh if and only if it's true.
Do you think the biconditional is limited to that language only?
Like, what do you mean by like language? Like, are you trying to talk to like?
Yeah. So do you think that when we say biconditional, it's only limited to by saying if and only if?
I mean, like that's pretty much how you would refer to it. I mean, like if you got some other type of definition, I'd
Yeah,
like to know.
that's just very lost. I don't see that. Why would we take that to be the case? And like, second, that's not even the point. The point is that I don't find that when I usually talk about the ontological commit, I don't see why it would also be a reference to specifically just saying, okay, uh, I don't see why it would also be in reference to like the commitments of like the motor scope. Because like for example, I think you know this paradox, but let's just go back. Let's just make an analogy of this. Right? So let's just go back to like let's say I'm making an argument, right? And this argument is dependent upon a modus ponens, right? So I say, if the ground, like let's say if it rains, then the ground is wet. The ground is wet, then it rained. Okay, right? Or if it rained, then the ground is wet. Okay, that's fine. Right? The point is that um, what I guess the other interlock would ask is that okay, I can grant P2. Why do I grant? If I grant all the premises, why should I grant the conclusion? And then you say okay, because of P1. So you add another hidden premise. You say if P1 is true from the hidden premise, then the conclusion is true, or at least if you grant the P2 too. And then you would ask, okay, why should I hold that to be the case? And then you would okay, you would just add another hidden premise. You would say, okay, if you hold to the hidden premise and you were to hold to all the other premises, then the conclusion has to be true. Okay, then then Lockwood asks this again. Okay, why should I hold that to be because that premise four or the hidden premise should to be true? There seems to be this infinite regress of implications of why we should follow it, and I don't take a I don't take a dogmatic case where we should just follow these things to be self-evident. Um, I'm more taking a skeptic route upon it. So when you say that there seems to be the commitment of where okay, if you have the ontological commitment, you're doing the possibility, or you have the modal scope commitment, and then from the modal scope commitment, you have the ontological commitment. I'm saying that even if I hold to either one, I don't see why, or at least you would just give the hidden premises of why we should follow that, but it seems to be never ending, and I don't take those type of things that we should take, especially when the justification seems to be endless.
Well, the thing is that like that's of course like just saying, oh yeah, like if we're gonna use that as like some type of representation for like what's happening here, obviously that's just basic analogy stuff. But the thing which of course I would be of course like hidden premises in general. That's like obviously consuming towards like the argument. It's just like adding more. It's like I wouldn't say consuming, but more so like adding. Like you're just adding to it, just for like a consumption of another thing, like towards the like person, etc. Like putting the question, this and that. So obviously, I
The
don't.
hidden premises are for the argument, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing I'm trying to like mention is that like when you sit there and talk about hidden premises, I think that would be more so induced towards like the argument. Like, are you like, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously, like,
it is
yeah,
induced to the argument. So when I ask
yeah,
for the implication, or at
yeah,
least
yeah.
when you say that they seem to be
Get that.
relational to that,
I get
yeah.
I get that. I get that. Like,
Oh, okay.
the thing is, like, when obviously you're talking about that, that's only towards like the argument. Like, let's say, for example, we're arguing over the premises of the argument.
No, I think
Obviously,
it's the same thing. I just explained it right after why it's the same thing. Like I literally gave the analogy, and then I gave the also different schema. I gave the little schema for like the ontological commitment with the modal scope.
yeah, hold on. I'm trying
I
to
did the
talk.
same
Real
thing.
quick.
Yeah,
I'm
go
trying
ahead.
to talk. Yeah. So, when you talk about hidden premises, of course, that would be more so like adding towards the argument, as I said, and again, when you try and put into question about some of the argument, I wouldn't say that's necessarily adding towards the argument, more so giving more in-depth reasoning as to, of course, like take it like as true. I don't think that would be changing the argument or adding more premises towards the argument because it's only like some type of meta, like virtual analysis about that. That's like only something like that. Obviously, you could sit there and say, oh yeah, because I'm viewing this, why would I have to take within a dosastic state? Oh yeah, to accept this, or of course, again, like take it as valid, yada yada yada. Again, like I just take that to be like a meta analysis or meta questioning. Another point is that when you're sitting there saying I'm adding more like hidden premises towards that, I'm not really adding more hidden premises because again, when you sit there and say ontological commitment, I added like a specific modal scope, which would have to be because it's the nature of that set of reality. The ontological commitment would have to be possible because of the nomological modal scope thing pertains to this. And when you use the language, I think that's just a referential. I don't necessarily think, of course, this
Okay,
is
I
limited.
don't. When I say the ontological commitment again, I extravagate this again. It's just my existence. You said that the modal scope at least pertains to the nature of it or its normological sense. Again, I don't see how. Why would that be the sort of commitment, or at least the sort of justification of why we should follow it? Especially that it seems to be referencing existence.
That's the nature of the existence in question, though. That's the reason why I just said that.
The nature
It's
of existence. Wait, what's your ontological thesis again?
ontological thesis. Oh yeah. So again, I just take existence to be viewed as like, possible. Again, like so. Hold on. Let me explain it
You
further.
okay? So
Yeah.
everything
Let
that's
me let me
existence. So
wait.
everything
Hold on.
that it, okay, everything
Let me
that it's
explain further.
possible exists. Is that what you said?
Okay. Hold on. Let me clarify real quick. So I
Okay.
said when I sit there and say existence, I would sit there and say, oh yeah, that's possible, right? But here's the thing: I have more clarification for that. So when it's in depth towards, of course, like the modal scope, and I sit there and say, oh yeah, it's a nomological one. Nomological when it's in reference and how we, of course, engage like some type of like epistemology on that. Again, you would sit there and accept that as, of course, viewing this as, of course, like something within like knowledge, right? And like nomological scopes accept this to be like the rules of reality, natures of reality, and that's more so how that would go, right? This is how you would view that, or again, like the nature of like our universe, like that's why I say like our reality. So if our existence is part of this reality, you could sit there and say, oh yeah, that's like a thing about reality. And therefore, again, you could sit there and say existence would refer to this as possible because the reality is then concrete by this, if it's the case, or not necessarily concrete, but I would sit there and say, again, it's possible in this sense because of the reality, right? You could also sit there and like take like an idealist position and sit there and say, oh yeah, well, I view reality to be mental. Well, that would be the nature of that reality and view that as like a possible state of affairs. Like a thing that you said before is you sit there and say, oh yeah, I could take a
Well,
necessity that's
that's
outside
fine.
the possible thing.
Hold on, wait. That's fine. Even if from the ontological thesis, it seems so you could still like it just matters upon the reality or the framework, even if I'm an idealist or not. The point is just that like that's not the problem here. I just don't find how even from any ontological commitment, even if like it's analytic, like even if the analytics line, when you change the definition, saying okay, what the framework actually upholds that certain framework. I don't see why I would hold to these sort of axioms that modal logic, or at least your modal scope entails. Like for example, like we have many theses that seem to follow with different other views, but we don't find those to be the certain justification upon why we should follow that view. Unless you take like a coherence theory of truth. But I don't know if you do. But like the point is that I don't find that the alignment of views seems to be the sort of justificating means or justificatory means of why we should take positions to be true. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't see why that's going to be the case.
If I
I
didn't,
might. Oh,
oh my
sorry.
bad.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, that's fine. I'm practically done.
All right, yeah. This was a thing, of course, like I did mention before, without like going too much in depth on the meta like analysis thing which we're having right now about the point. But the thing about that I think I mentioned was that it'd be a contradiction. I think I should have specified which type of contradiction. I think it's just like a metaphysical contradiction because like when you talk about nomology, you talk about the nature of something in that perspective, and if it's within the nature of that, and then it goes against that's like against the fundamental state of being, or how you would view that existence. Specifically, if
Do you
that
think
goes against
contradictions are the things that we should go away from?
wait, uh, just to clarify, are you like just to clarify so I can like answer the question better in that sense? Are you like trying to indicate that you would uphold like the opposite? Like if I was to answer like the affirmative?
Wait, say it again. Sorry. You said something affirmative?
No, nothing to be sorry about. But what I said is that like, do you think if I were to answer in the case of the affirmative of the question, do you think you would try and uphold the negation, or like would you agree with me saying the affirmative?
I'm just trying to say if you're in a classical, are you a classical magician? I'm not necessarily. I don't. I mean, actually, I don't have anything pre-tail of understanding upon what I find to be. I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna hold up to a pair consistent view, but I might be a nihilist.
Like a not
But that's only dependent upon if I find it to be actually things that we actually uphold to, and not like sort of those certain things that okay, well, oh, because contradiction, therefore I'm just going to use like some sort of nihilist or pretty consistent logic to uphold those like logic. I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't do that.
yeah, because
I
like
only find it if it's necessary,
I
and
feel
what I
like
mean by
that's
necessary is just that if it's needed.
oh yeah. That's fair. I would say like it's like kind of like a leap if you were to like, of course, like if it wasn't necessary, I feel like that's a leap, yeah. But if I were to sit there and say that, I would say when it comes to metaphysical contradictions and states being, when it comes to existence, I would like only like accept like one type of existence. Because like if you sit there and say, oh yeah, my existence is this, but oh yeah, but my existence must be this, and we don't have like an actual answer, I think that's just gonna like any other type of state of being which we try and answer, which would lead into like some type of unanswerable thing about existence. I think like if you're trying to answer a thing about existence, like let's say for example, when we go into the modal like anti-realist perspective, I'm giving you the argument. Like obviously this is the only possible world we take this to be possible, right? Obviously if I'm defining existence as this way, the ontological commitment of it, like obviously the possibility of course like existing, and I like say, oh yeah, if I deny this view of existence and then I pull up some type of other form of like understanding of
Oh
existence,
my fucking god! Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. I'm playing basketball. Hold on. I'm
yeah,
playing Roblox basketball. Continue. Sorry, I just fucking airballed. Go ahead.
you're fine, you're fine. Basically what I was saying is that if I were to incorporate another like form of like existence whilst also accepting this type of existence, I think that would just cause like another collapsation of the other form of existence, and we would only have to take one type of answer over the other. I think we should have.
Okay, so all I'm hearing is that from the disjunction of if we take a realist and anti-realist stance, you're just saying that if we from a process of elimination for the disjunction of elimination, we take the other view, because you find it to be metaphysically and contradictory. Is that what you said? A metaphysical contradiction, right? And then from
Well,
those, we type it to be the case upon whatever the disjunction elimination process shows.
Well, I mean, I did apply it towards like the modal things as like an example. I mean, not necessarily, of course, like oh yeah, talk on that specific topic, but because like I was trying
Um,
answering the question, like specifically about contradictions, and like I gave an example about existence, and like said, oh yeah, if I were to incorporate these specific types of existence, it would lead to something unanswerable. Then because one
no,
collapsation,
that's fine. I just don't see like when you say okay for the disjunction of elimination, like especially eliminating the realist stance. That's what you're trying to do, right?
like modalist, right? Sorry.
Yeah, motor realist. Yeah, yeah. Within the context of that, that's completely fine. You could take the elimination about that, but I wouldn't say those are the justificating means, or at least for the disjunction that we take the anti-realist view. Um, I don't see why I would have to subject myself to like any of these two. I don't think it's a true dichotomy in that aspect.
I mean, the thing is though, like because like again, like within the thing of existence, I would take it to be like a true dichotomy. Like the other one would, of course, like negate the other. I think the contradictions would, of course, like eliminate one another. So I would think what you
But
would have to accept.
that's the confusing part. Okay, so if existence is implying or at least indicating that there seems to be, or I don't know, from your ontological thesis, this has to entail some like either two sides of the conversation or at least the true dichotomy. Then what's in question is that okay, what about the ontological commitment entails that this has to be a true dichotomy? Like if I were to give like conceptual if I were to give like at least a modal scope that entails not both of any, and I just deny modal scopes entirely, like a nihilist, like maybe, I don't see how me explaining that my existence has to be dependent upon some modal scope. Like,
Because
what would your response to be a nihilist in that aspect?
Well, I think because if you were to posit nihilist against like motoscopes or like X the example you use, I think you would still have to accept that one. I think that just agrees with like the option over the other, and obviously would negate the other. Like as I said,
Wait,
like
wait. When I say okay, maybe there's okay. So when I cash out nihilist for you, what do you think I'm saying?
like again like index towards like the specific other motoscopes, or are you like saying within like the predicate of universality?
I'm sorry. Okay, I don't know about the universe locality, but I'm just saying that within all language of motoscopes, um, I mean, I don't know. Hold on. Uh, I was gonna say like there's multiple ways that I think about motoscope, but that's like a whole different conversation. So I'm not gonna lead it to there because that's just venting at that point. But um, like from what I know, I'm not saying that there seems to be like a what's it called a nihilist upon both the positions, but it can be. But it's more the nihilist of like all the motoscopes in general. As in that we don't take it to be the case.
Oh, okay. Then I feel like you would again like reject all of them. So I mean, it's just like one over the other.
You would reject all of them, so it's one over the other. What do you mean by that? From the
Like
disjunction, is that what you're saying?
like again for like when you say like, oh yeah, what if I like reject all monoscopes? Well, like of course like taking a nihilistic perspective or account of that, like for
Uh-huh.
like the epistemology of existence, I would sit there and say, oh yeah, I would agree for this perspective against that, and obviously I believe that would happen to be the Dawes-Astic state in question. And it's like it's one over the other
Wait,
because again, like
wait, hold on.
like yeah, oh yeah, he's gone. My bad. I didn't notice that, or he's just doing something.
Sorry. I was talking. I was talking.
Yo,
Huh?
you're fine.
This one.
Open the window.
No window, the blanket. I mean, the curtain. Just this one.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh wait, sorry. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, sure. I was also gonna add something else if you're okay with me, like continuing real quick. Um,
Yeah, you can continue, but I just want you to repeat the first part, then you can continue, so I know what you're talking about.
yeah. The thing I said is that oh yeah, you'd obviously have to prefer that as like a Dawes-Astic state over the other ones, and I believe that like would still align with like oh yeah, destruction of the other one, like process of elimination. Another thing that I was gonna mention is that obviously if
What
you were
is? Okay, just you know what? Just continue. I'll question it after.
you don't know what Dawes-Astic state is?
No. I'm questioning. You'll see. Keep going.
Yeah. If you were to again like reject the process of elimination, like I feel like that would just lead to more complexity within like the view of like existence and just like again lead to like just a system of like infinite regressions about that point. If you were to like oh yeah sit there and say oh yeah I'm accepting this but of course I can accept another one, also being a nihilist about modal like scopes unless it's like another view about like modal scopes which denies them but like adds another like particular, because I feel like that would be like an inclusive proposition to like a nihilistic thing, unless it has severe like again like distinctions within that, conceptually speaking.
Okay. Okay. So the first part upon like how you find that because if it's a stochastic state, you find it to be at a process of elimination. I don't see why that's the case. Um, I don't see it's not more of like some sort of disjunction of elimination. I don't take that to be the case. If anything, I don't want to be a minimalist on that. Like I do adhere to like some sort of minimalist stance on that. If that's fine with you.
Wait, you adhere to like a minimalist and the nihilistic perspective? Is that what you're saying,
No,
or like
no, no,
more?
minimalism and like logic. I find it to be the
Oh,
case
oh,
that the
oh,
principle
okay.
of explosion and like the what was it called? The law of excluding middle, yeah, are to be the things that we don't adhere to. Especially for disjunctions that usually
Are you
entail
like
that.
are you like a trivialist?
Am I a trivialist? No.
All right, yeah.
I just don't find that contradictions entail everything else to be proved. It's more of like, okay, I could explain. So, like, the first pair of consistent logic.
Wait. Sorry to cut you off. Sorry to cut you off. It's just like, can I take like a gander real quick, just so like you don't need to
Sure.
explain yourself.
Sure.
Are you sitting there saying it doesn't necessarily have to be like a truth preservation thing, like a truth, like it doesn't necessarily have to entail the truth, like conclusion? Like, say for example, if I did a process of elimination and something seems to be more likely than the other case, I don't think that necessarily guarantees like truth in that sense. Is that what you're trying to say to me?
Usually the minimalist would say, I mean, it's kind of like that. Like I see the direction you're going to. It's more of saying, okay, we don't take. Okay, usually from like a disjunction of elimination, usually why we reject it is from the fact that it subjects us to certain things that we wouldn't adhere to. As in that, okay, if we eliminate, okay, let's just say that we find P and not, okay, let's say we find P and Q, to be the certain things, or P and not P, right? We find it to be that they're both possible, or as impossible as in that they seem to adhere to the same evidence, or maybe seems justificatory means. For the disjunction, eliminating one doesn't seem to adhere to another. It actually seems to be a lack of constructive evidence. That's why I usually take away from disjunction. We're fine with the disjunction of introduction. We disagree with the elimination and how it aligns with the processes of like I guess if we eliminate not P, then it would be P. We also take away from the double negation. We don't say those are the type of things on how, because like it's more of, okay, maybe I should make this more simple. It's more of grounding from constructive evidence. If there's a lack of constructive evidence, they don't see it to adhere to the position. So when we have a disjunction, for example, let's say that we either find, like, let's just say Schrodinger's cat, right? Like the little box, right? So there's this cat in the box. Um, there seems to be either it's there or not. Like it's either dead or alive, right? You know what I mean? Um, Obviously, we don't have any constructive evidence to find it to be any of those cases. So, no matter any process of elimination that we find, saying that, okay, it seems to be absurd that we say that it's dead, so now we would assume that it's alive. We don't find those to be the things that, or these we wouldn't find those to be the type of things that we would adhere to, because there's a lack of constructive evidence, even if you just give it a destruction of elimination. So, we would remove that, especially from the law of excluding middle. As in that we don't find that because of not P, then we'd assume P. Hello? I don't know. Oh, you're typing in
Bro,
chat.
is minimalism that OP or something, bro?
Minimalism is not that good. I agree. I agree with the principle of explosion, where they reject principle of explosion. The law of excluding middle is more of like a adhere a little one. I don't know. It's a little confused. It's a little not confusing. It's more, I don't 100% align to it, but it goes to the right